Hello friends. Today I'm going to show you how to install the WaSQL web development tool. We're started here at wasql.com, and there's a link here that will take us to the Git repository. After the list of the files, we have a little introduction on what it is, supported language, and here we have installation instructions. Now, I'm going to assume that you have Git or are familiar with Git. If not, it's software, and install it. It's going to allow you to clone the repository down to your local computer, which is easy. If I copy this link and then I open a command, I'm going to do this from the Windows. I'm just going to choose the directory where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it in from the C drive root. And then I'm going to get bash here, open up a command prompt, and I'm going to just paste that command that I copied. This is going to clone the repository, and it's going to put it in a WaSQL folder. Okay, this is going to take a second for it to download. Okay, that is all downloaded now, and we can close this window. And now we have a WaSQL folder here. And go into that. And if we come back to our instructions, I'm going to arrange this a little bit differently so you can see going between the different applications. So I'm just going to have this folder. And the instructions say now, in the WaSQL folder, copy sample config XML to config.xml. So there is going to be a sample config. There's really no reason to preserve the original, so call that config XML. Done. Then it says if we use an editor, we can change the DB username, user, and password in that file. So if we open this up with a text editor, then we would see here where there's the connection information for to connect to a MySQL database. We haven't installed MySQL, but this is what will be used. Alright, let's do the next thing. Install AppServe. AppServe is like WAMP. You may be familiar with that. But AppServe installs Apache, PHP, and MySQL. So we'll go there. And we will install. Click this download. And then would download here. Just for convenience, I already have it downloaded. And yeah, so I'm going to run this file. Alright, just a few config issues. There's a license that you agree with. There is an install. I'm just going to leave this one also on the root. We're installing those 4 bits of information, 4 programs. And it's going to install it as a server name localhost. And then it wants to know the administrator's email address on the localhost. And I'm just going to put in an email address. And it's going to default ports there are fine. Okay, now it's going to install MySQL, and we need to have a password that will be used to connect as the administrator to the MySQL database. And I will enter in my password. I entered in John Deere. you could enter whatever password you wanted. Alright, again, this is going to take a minute. I'm going to pause the video while it's installing. Alright, App Server is now finished installing. We can start Apache and start MySQL. Close this window, and now we'll move on to the next part. So we've installed. Now we want to add the following to Apache httpd.conf. So we're going to go into App Server, and this is saying that it is in the App Server, Apache 24 conf, and we've got the httpd. We will edit that. We have a few changes to make to this file. Alright, now I'm going to arrange this so you can see switching back and forth between the two files. Okay, so it says that we're going to find the alias module section, copy that, and come over here, and we're going to search for it. Okay, that's not it. That's it. Okay, so it's saying at the very end of this, there's a script alias, and we're going to add these other two aliases at the end of that file. So in my machine, it's line 382 where we are adding the two files. Okay, and then the next instruction says just below if module, we can stick this right here. After the if module, we're going to add a directory. Actually, the directory is down here. Okay, make sure that mod rewrite is enabled. Remove the pound sign from the front, so all of those are up at the first. We'll look for that. I just did a search, found it here. That's mod rewrite. I remove that. Save this. Okay, and the next thing is search for directory app serve. Okay, there we go. And it says make sure that allow override is set to all. So here's allow override. Change that to all. Okay, copy sample htaccess from the WaSQL folder to appserve www. Okay, so we need this file explorer again. We're going to go into WaSQL. We're going to copy this sample htaccess, and then we're going to go back to appserve www, and this one already has one in there. So let's change that to old and paste a new one in there, and just call that, it's just .htaccess. Alright. Then we're going to rename index.php to index origin, original or so. Okay, that one's done. Now we need to restart Apache. So lots of ways to do that. I'm going to open up services, and then in this list I'll find Apache 24 and click restart. That will now read the config file and the changes that we made. Okay, now we'll come back here. Now we're going to open a DOS console, just CMD again, and we're going to copy, let's see, we need to log in. So we're going to log into MySQL as root. So it wants our password, and this is where I entered John Deere. The password that I set during the Apache or that AppServe installation. Okay, we have a MySQL prompt, so we got connected, and now I'm going to copy these commands one at a time and just paste them in and run them. Okay, and the last one created the database. So this is the WaSQL user. This is what the web development tool is going to use to talk to the MySQL database. All right, we're done with that. And exit out of the command prompt too. All right, now we're going to try see if it works. We access the web page for our local server by accessing localhost. Yeah, we can see up here that we get a setup wizard. That's pretty exciting. We already have a web page, and I'm going to select this bootstrap. There's different kind of templates to help you get started. A bootstrap kind of looks like this, sidebar, and materialized. Not sure what that is, but they have different CSS. Oh, it uses the materialized CSS group. Okay, so I'm going to install Bootstrap. Yeah, or you can start with the blank page, or whatever you want to do. And the thing that's different about WaSQL from, say, WordPress or some other PHP-based framework is that those systems would have lots of plugins and lots of files. So each file would be saved on the app server or on the web server, and anytime you hit the page, it would download. You go to a website and it would download a PHP file to your computer. Now the PHP would allow the server to dynamically change the content. The difference with WaSQL is that all of the pages are stored in a database, and so it's more secure. There's no files hanging around that people can hack into. It's also faster. All of the plugins in WordPress, they would all have to connect to a database or figure out what color which user wanted or what each user can access. And with WaSQL, all of that's already in a database. It already has a connection to the database. And so where if you were to follow the requests of a WordPress page, it might have 80 different requests to load the page, and the WaSQL is going to have one for the page, one for the CSS, and one for something else. So it can load much more quickly. Now here's the localhost page. It's got the format that we have. There's one little shortcut. If we put localhost/a, that's going to bring up the administrator console. And here we can see we've got two templates, a blank template and a main. And we've got several different pages defined. If we look at index, now remember, each of those pages are in the database, and this follows the MVC. So you've got the body, you've got a controller, and you have different views available. Here in the body, there's a default view. You could have more than one view, and here the controller says set the view to the default. So we'll go into that more later, but in 16 minutes then we have installed WaSQL and we're ready to start programming.